This tutorial will provide a high-level overview of IANA's newly designed Equipment Return Location Directory. Once logged into your UIA account, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have set up your notification settings to receive notices from Equipment Return Location Directory. To do that, you'll go up in the upper right-hand corner and go to Notification Settings. Go to your second tab, ERLD notification, and you'll see listed the equipment providers that we've been speaking to regarding adoption of the equipment return location directory. Mediterranean Shipping has announced that they will begin using the system effective Monday, February 17th. So for each of the equipment providers, you want to go in and select the regions that you would want to receive notifications from, and then enter the email of the individuals or group emails that you would want to receive those notifications. If you are adding multiple email addresses, you want to separate them by a comma with no space after the comma when entering the second email address, and then click Save. In addition, you'll also be able to go up under that same drop down and go to ERLD notifications. And once we begin sending notifications from the system, you'll be able to see those notices that are sent to your company and to the individuals that you have designated to receive those types of notices. It'll show the notification date, the equipment provider that the notification was from, the originating pickup location, the return location the notice is regarding, the region it was in, the status of the notice was whether it was sent to you successfully based on the email address you had provided, and also the email address that it was sent to. You also have the ability to search your notifications by various parameters, including individual equipment providers. If you're looking for notices that you received from a specific provider, you'll be able to have that option as well. Now, to get to the actual equipment return location directory, you want to go back and go down under this other drop down, and you'll see an Access Equipment Return Location Directory ERLD option. You'll click on that. That's going to take you to a screen that's going to have a listing of the equipment providers that will be using the system. So it will only show those providers that we've been in discussion with as to whether they're pending or actually using the system. So if you click on Mediterranean Shipping, since they've indicated that they are going to go live on the 17th, we'll take a look at a sample of their return location. And walking through the screen, you can see that equipment providers will have the ability to put like a global header on their page if they have specific information that they want motor carriers to know, general information regarding their equipment return instructions. They have the ability to do that. They will also have the ability to enter a specific header or message regarding a region. If there's something specific to a region that they want motor carriers to be aware of, they can enter a specific note regarding that as well. You'll have the ability to show all regions for the specific equipment providers' return locations, or you can look for whatever specific regions that you're interested in. Coming down here, you'll be able to see all locations for that particular provider, or if you only want to see open locations or closed locations, you can do that as well. The default will be to show the current day schedule for the equipment providers using the ERLD. And the 8 that's shown next to here just simply means there were 8 locations for the current day for this specific equipment provider for that specific region. Equipment providers will also, though, have the ability to show a next day schedule if they would prefer to do so. And if that's the case and they want to show a 2-day schedule, there would be another button here that said next day schedule. And when you would click on that, it would show you the return locations for the next day. If a provider is only using a current day schedule, what will happen is if no changes are made to the return locations for the current day at 12:01 a.m., they will then become the current day schedule for the next day. You also have the ability to search location, and this search parameters will be based on the headers that the provider has determined that they would want to, how they want their information displayed to motor carriers. What we've done with the new ERLD, we added a lot of flexibility into it, because what we found in our discussions with providers is that many of them have different terminology, say for maybe regions, or they want specific information shown as it relates to their equipment return information. So we've had the flexibility to modify some of these headings based on the provider's preferences as far as how they want their information displayed. So your search parameters will be specific or tied to the format that the provider's data is shown in. You can also have the ability to export locations. So you can export all of the provider's return locations into an Excel spreadsheet, or if you only want to export a specific region, you would go to that region and then click on export locations, and it would export those locations within that region. The search history functionality will allow a motor carrier to go back and look at the history of changes made to a specific location. That parameter is set to 150 days for motor carriers, and that was based on the timelines within the UIIA, where you have under certain provisions in the agreement, EP has 60 days to bill the motor carrier for per diem. The motor carrier has 30 days to dispute. The EP then has 30 days to respond, and then we allowed a 30-day grace period, which came to the 150-day timeline. We will be maintaining data beyond the 150 days, and if you need information beyond that time frame, you would need to send your request to IANA, and then what we'll do is determine based on the request and the reason for the request, if it's related to a dispute or a binding arbitration claim, we can then pull that information and provide that to the motor carrier. Going back to the information on the main screen here, if you come down here, you'll see that you'll have a listing of the intermodal cities for the equipment provider's return locations. And so you can go to any intermodal city and see the locations that are for that city. And the numbers to the right here are based on how many locations are in that specific intermodal city. For med shipping, you'll have the loaded pickup location and the empty return location information. The date would be the current day's date, and then the status would be whether the facility is open or closed. And then you can see here, you have some facilities that are closed, some that are open, and then the types of equipment that are being accepted at that facility, that return location for that day. So in this particular example, you can see that the 20 DV, 40 DV, and 40 HQs are being accepted at CN Chicago, 404 in Chicago, Illinois. Anywhere there's an X, that means that that type of equipment is not being accepted for that day. Providers also have the ability to set additional instructions for a specific location if they want to do so. You'll see the note there, but if you hover over it, it'll also open it up in a pop-up if it's larger than that. And then the three dots here again are allowing you to view the history of the changes that were made to that specific location. Notifications, again, for the equipment return location directory will be sent every day at 3 o'clock. Local time based on the locations that were changed and the regions that they were in. And then providers also have the ability to indicate that they want a notification sent immediately. So if they go in and make a change, if they select the immediate notification, the notification will go out immediately to those motor carriers that had selected that EP and that region of where the change is being made for the equipment return location. If they don't accept the immediate notification, then that change will then be held until 3 p.m. and then we will send an email out with all the changes for those providers that are utilizing the system and batch them and send them to the motor carriers based on what region you had selected and what the change was. Any questions related to the specific information within the return location directory for a specific equipment provider would need to still be directed to that provider directly, because we're just housing the information in a centralized platform for motor carriers, but the actual questions on the data itself would need to be directed to the equipment provider. So with that, I think that it has given you an overview of what the newly designed equipment return location directory looks like and how you can navigate through it. Our hope is to continue to have other providers adopt this new platform. As I mentioned, Med Shipping will be the first. They're going live on February 17th. And as we get other providers on board, we'll notify motor carriers as they become effective with the platform. Thank you.